Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This time on the Kindness Project, we talk the world's best biscuits, random nibbles, and the interview on Time FM. Hi, and welcome to episode 12 of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by Chris Dames, the man so tall even giraffes are envious.
And I'm joined by Charlotte, who could mostly be described as half girl, half woman, and half chocolate digestive. Now, let's be honest, I'm 6'2", 6'3", something like that. I know loads of people taller than me. I mean, like, I'm getting to a point where I'm probably average height now. I mean, like 6'2" used to be really tall.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like, I used to be one of the tallest in my class, and then I got to secondary school, and there's like 6 people taller than me. And I was like,
are there any kids in your year? And what year were you in? 13?
Yeah, 9.
Year 12. In year 9.
I think year 12's college.
Who are taller than me?
Probably.
Because I think I was probably the 3rd or 4th tallest kid in my year. I certainly wasn't the tallest.
Yeah, the difference between the tallest and the tallest and me is not a lot, but like it's like about that much.
A tiny bit.
Yeah.
A tiny bit. Good use of your hands though on a podcast.
Oh
I mean, it was sort of just so like everybody can see it.
Yeah, that's like a hand
about
size.
4 foot. So yeah, the good news about this week's podcast is we're going back for question of the week. Question of the podcast to philosophy, right?
Oh,
we're going back to a philosophical. I don't even know what that word was.
Philosophical.
Thank you.
There we go.
Question. Now you know.
The last time we tried a philosophical question, we failed miserably.
But this one is really important.
Okay.
The question of the podcast.
Can I do it? Can I do the introduction?
Yeah.
Let me just sit properly for this. Question of the podcast
Is, what's your favourite biscuit? It's that simple.
You said it was philosophical.
It is. Well, I think that knowing what your favourite biscuit tells you a lot about the person. If you love a chocolate digestive, it tells you a little bit about the person. If you love a Jaffa cake, and now there's the entire argument about whether a Jaffa cake is cake or biscuit, I get that. It tells you a little bit about a person. If you love a hobnob, it tells you even more about that person. So, the question is, do you love a hobnob? I mean, what's your favourite biscuit?
What's it called? What are they called? Shortbread.
You know what? I love a shortbread.
But anything you can use to make a cheesecake, it's perfect.
So that's not chocolate digestive, but normal chocolate.
You can use any kind of digestive to make a cheesecake.
Can you use shortbread to make a cheesecake?
No, unfortunately.
But you can use it as a cake clay.
Yeah, you can use it as a layer for a cake. But honestly, anything you can use to make a cheesecake, any ingredient in a cheesecake is bound to be good. Because honestly, I love cheesecake.
Yeah.
It's probably one of it is my favourite cake. Me and my friend, for the past 2. So every time.
What, are we talking about the baggy trousers again?
No, I'm talking about Frankie.
Right, okay.
So at the end of last year, what we did is me, her, and one of my other mates from school.
Are they a member of the baggy trousers?
Yes.
Why have you not recruited Frank into the baggy trousers yet?
I did actually.
Oh, right. So she's a member.
I
thought half of Essex were now in the baggy trousers.
I don't know.
Your little gang taking over the world.
But basically, we went to the closest Tesco's to our school.
Yeah.
And we bought.
Other supermarkets are available, listeners. We don't want to promote Tesco's.
It was just the closest shop.
Oh, right.
And we went in and we bought a cheesecake.
Right.
A bag of crisps. A bottle of Sprite.
Other lemonades are available, listeners. Christ. Listen, I hope I get number one, I hope I get a call from Tesco's offering us a bit of sponsorship. Number 2, Sprite. Do you want to mention any other high retail brands?
And we bought a pie.
Yeah. Was it a Fray Bentos pie?
No,
Fray Bentos, we'll have your pies, give us a call.
No, so it was a lemon cheesecake and a lemon pie.
Was it Tesco's own brand? No. We love you, Tesco's, give us a call. What mate was it?
I can't remember.
Right, okay.
And we sat on the bench outside.
Was it a branded bench?
No.
Havering Council, we love your benches. Feel free to sponsor our podcast.
Anyway, so we sat on the bench outside and we each ate from the bag of crisps. We each drank from the lemonade bottle.
What were they? Walker's crisps?
No,
or
they weren't.
Other brands are available. What were they? Quavers?
No, they
Oh, right,
weren't
okay.
Quavers. They were diet crisps.
Tesco's own brand? No.
And we ate the pie and the crisps.
Fray Bentos? No.
No, so
Was it? Oh, you know what pie I genuinely love? Peter's pies. You know the ones you get in the fish and chip shop. Yeah.
Anyway, we ate this pie.
Feel free to call us, anybody from Peter's. We accept sponsorship.
Anyway, we ate this pie and we each ate a bag of crisps.
What flavour pie was it?
It was lemon.
Oh,
It was a sweet pie.
you had a lemon pie and a piece of cheesecake.
No, we all sat and we ate the pie and a bag of crisps each. And then,
Can I just be clear about the story? Okay. So you had a cheesecake.
No, we had a pie. We had a cheesecake, a pie, a bag of crisps and a Sprite.
Right. Did you have a cheesecake each?
No.
So you bought one
We
cheesecake.
bought one cheesecake, one
Sitting
pie,
on a
a
bed.
bag of crisps, a multi-pack of crisps.
So you were sharing all of this. Mm-hmm. Okay. How did you cut the cheesecake?
We bought a pack of plastic knives and forks.
Right.
And we sat outside.
Were they Tesco's knives and
Yes, they
forks? Other brands are available.
Okay, so we ate the pie. And
Feel free to give us a call though, Tesco's. We love
ate
your
the pie,
stuff.
We chucked the pack in the bin, and we gave Jack a bag of crisps, and me and Frankie, we went to her house, and we sat.
I hope this has got a big climax because you've so bigged this story up.
And we sat and we ate an entire cheesecake between the two of us, and then I went home.
More exciting stories are available, listeners. You've just heard somebody tell a story
Yeah, but it's
about.
not the first time we've done it. We've done it several times.
It's not a story to be proud of, Charlotte. So you've heard somebody tell a story about sitting on a bench eating crisps, going to her friend's house and eating a cheesecake, and the climax of the story, listeners, listen to this. She went home. She went home.
No, the climax of the story is I did it more than once.
How many times have you done it?
About 4.
4 times.
But usually we just buy the cheesecake and nothing else.
Oh, right, okay. So normally it's not crisp sitting on a bench.
No, it's usually a drink and
Or
just
pie.
a cheesecake.
I mean, you've got to be careful about like eating pie, lemon pie,
Yeah,
and.
we only do it at the end of term.
All right, so it's like an end of term tradition.
Yeah, it's like a celebration. Like you made it through the term, guys.
Well done. Have a cheesecake.
Yeah, one time me
Especially-
and Frankie even made our own cheesecake.
Especially a Tesco cheesecake, because apparently they're awesome. Feel free to give us a call, Tesco's. You're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, one time we made our own cheesecake. We bought all the ingredients from Tesco's.
Gotcha. All right, okay. Apparently, Sainsbury's are all right as well. So if you want to give us a buzz, Sainsbury's,
Well, they
you're
got
more
my
than welcome to do that.
chores.
I don't know how this turns into a promotion of the brand you like to eat after school. I mean, I don't know when that happened.
I usually buy cheapy brands.
And we veered away from the core question, world's best biscuit. So, listeners, shortbread. Listeners, if you want to get in touch, you can do. We've given our handles. You've heard about
Have we given our handles this time?
I don't know if we have. Do you want to do it again quickly? Holla Kindness on Twitter. Holla at the Kindness Project. .co.uk. Feel free to email us.
Oh, our individual handles as well.
We can do that next time, but you can find everything at www.thekindnessproject.co.uk, as well as show notes. So everything we talk about during this show, please do let us know. But we also want to hear your stories of kindness, Charlotte,
Yes.
right? So we want to hear your stories of kindness, who you think is particularly kind, so we can go and talk to them, and just let's share some good kindness news.
Yeah.
And on that note, should we move on to kindness news?
Yes, we shall.
Hi, and welcome back to what's really quickly becoming one of my favourite parts of the Kindness Project podcast, mainly because of the jingle. It's
Kindness news.
now the cough this time was
Necessary.
was necessary, but quite a conservative cough, as coughs go. Normally you go, but this time it was more of a demure cough. Was that intentional, or was that?
Yeah, because you got really annoyed annoyed last time because you said it was too loud.
I did. So have you got a kindness story for us this week?
Yes. The
Awesome.
police officer who turned a little boy's birthday from sad to incredible. Officer Robinson responded to a local elementary school.
Where are we?
Green Bay.
Green Bay, home of the Green Bay Packers.
For a child that was not picked up at the end of the day. It turned out that the child's mother was in prison and the school had no other family contacts to call to pick up the child. But instead of taking the youngster to the station, Officer Robinson used meal vouchers from McDonald's to take the child for a meal and a ride around in the police car for his birthday.
Awesome. So how do I get a ride in the police car for my birthday?
Get arrested.
I'm not getting arrested just to get a ride in a police car. I mean, I'm 41 next birthday and I want to ride around in a police car. That sounds like a pretty brilliant thing to do, but also a really kind thing for that guy to do, right? You know,
he's probably not getting paid for doing that.
Well, I think what I love is stories of people just going above and beyond what is expected of them just to help out, and I think that's an amazing story. But I've got a story for you, and it's not about somebody from Romford.
Damn it!
However,
is it? Let me guess. Hornchurch?
It is. It's about somebody. It's about somebody originally from Hornchurch, a lady called Jasmine Moran, and she started off in Hornchurch during World War II. Now, I don't know if you know this, but in Hornchurch in World War II, there was a big airfield.
Yeah.
That used to be used, and she used to sit near the airfield, and German bombers used to come across, and it used to be quite a dangerous place. But Jasmine Moran met somebody from Oklahoma in America, moved away from Hornchurch. I don't know why you'd want to do that, Charlotte. It's an awesome place to live. But moved away.
Come visit, guys.
Courtesy of the Hornchurch Tourist Board. Welcome to Hornchurch. But she moved to Oklahoma. But the reason she's so amazingly kind, she, in a small town called Seminole in Oklahoma, she started a museum, kids museum, purely and simply because she wanted to make sure, in times of financial hardship, that the children of this small town had somewhere to go. But actually it attracts 70,000 visitors a year. Now, on the show notes, I'll link a story to the news article about Jasmine, but I'll also link to the website of this awesome little children's museum in the middle of a small town America.
Maybe if we go and visit, we can go and see this museum.
Maybe it's a long way away, but maybe we can. And she's still going today in her 80s, doing charity work, doing fundraising. Now, I know you wanted a bit of a Romford connection to the story, and I've been talking about Hornchurch. She was born in Romford. So there's your Romford connection there.
Can't go wrong with Romford.
But after a start in the theatre, and she played in sort of plays in the Theatre Royal in Drury Lane in London, she moved to America and just embarked on doing stuff that brought communities together, that supported kids, and just effectively did a really awesome job in her community. What do you think of that?
Good.
It's good. So that's our 2 kindness news stories for the week. We'll see you next week for more kindness news.
So, Dad, what did you do this week?
Did a bit of work. Ate, drank, spent time with you guys. Had a few computer games, watched a bit of Game of Thrones. A lot of Game of Thrones, because I'm catching up at the minute. But yeah, so it was a good week.
So there was not anything else. There's something. Oh my god, it seems very important.
Yes, I know. I found my friend.
Ah, okay. No. It's something else.
Ah, right. Yeah, I drew a picture of an owl.
Oh, I remember that. You showed that to me. No, it's not that. It's something really important.
I gave you a cuddle.
You give me cuddles every day.
Oh, right, okay. So I did pop up on the radio this week.
That's what it was. Didn't listen to it, but okay.
Cheers. Actually, I was talking about the Kindness Project.
Okay.
So our local radio station, Time FM, based in Romford, invited me on to have a little chinwag about the Kindness Project, and I thought, why not? I'm going to pop on there and have a little chat about the Kindness Project. Would you like to hear the interview?
Yes, please.
Cool.
Classic Mink DeVille, little Spanish stroll. Something I've never done. Never been to Spain.
Have you never been to Spain?
Never been to Spain. No. I've been to many parts of the world. I've been across the Atlantic on a number of occasions. I've been Cyprus. I've been loads of places. Never been to Spain.
What's your
favourite? Apparently that's the place we're all meant to go.
What's your favourite place in the world, mate?
I love not necessarily all of the people in America, because some of them are a bit nuts. Let's be honest. But I do have this real love of going to the States.
Yeah,
I love their kind of attitude in many ways. I love, you get there.
There's an optimism, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say, they're so patriotic, and I think that's great.
Yeah, gotcha.
I personally am quite for that. I think it's a good thing.
Look, I think every nation's got its pros and cons.
Absolutely.
I went to New York in October, and just I thought I was going to be underwhelmed by it because you set it as expectations as huge, but actually it was incredible.
It's fantastic. New York for me was like walking around a film set.
Yeah, gotcha.
You get to Broadway and you get to Times Square and you look at it and you go, wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And it's really weird, 'cause, I mean, you would have been to Times Square.
Yep.
And at night time, there's no street lights.
No.
They don't need them. There's so much neon. It's so bright. I don't think there's any street lights. I don't remember ever noticing any.
My film pilgrimage in New York was to the Ghostbusters fire station in East Village.
I never went there. No.
I got there and it was covered in scaffolding, so I was gutted because I'd walked to Cassie like 20 minutes to get to this place. But they had a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man graffitied on the ground. I thought, that's enough. I can live with that.
That's a good one. I'll tell you the one of the... And it almost seems like a morbid thing to do, but we went to where the site was for the Twin Towers.
Same. Yeah.
And everybody goes there. And it's not a morbid thing as such, but you do have to just kind of take it all in. The vast sort of area that was devastated. But it is literally, and I mean literally, it's a 2-minute walk from Wall Street, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're out in Wall Street, and it just made me laugh because everybody does exactly the same thing. There's the big brass bull. Isn't there? Yeah. And of course, at the bottom, at the back rear end of the ball, of course, is the kahunas, whatever you want to call them. And everybody seems to want to have a photograph next to that at the back end with the big kahunas. Don't they?
I had a photo of the ball. I missed that particular photo opportunity.
Well, there was a lot of people doing it, put it that way. And well, anyway. Right, let's move on from that, shall we? But yeah. Right, so here we are, Tuesday afternoon. Mark here with you till 2. And of course, right now, as you've just heard, we've got a couple of voices. We've got Chris from the Havering Chamber of Commerce. Hello to you.
Hello to you too.
How are you? This is going to be really confusing today, because when I say Chris, which one's going to answer?
Either way.
We might both answer together.
Yeah. So I've got Chris from the Havering Chamber of Commerce and also Chris from Cervello. Remind it, because I mean, you've been in many times anyway, but just remind everybody what you do at Cervello.
So I run a financial planning business. We look after both corporates and individuals. But what Chris thought it'd be really interesting to talk about today is what we do for the community as well, because we do a couple of things. Number one, we sponsor 25 kids at Sanders School through a financial education project, and we're doing more and more of that. So financial education isn't a core part of the curriculum, but what they do allow is for independent sponsors to go in and support the kids understanding about money. So we're doing loads of work around that area with them, and that involves going in and speaking to them about money. Really interesting thing. I've stood up in front of 200, 300 people. The hardest audience I've ever had is 25 kids that are 13 and 14. Genuinely.
I can imagine. Well, we've had some young kids here in the past. They don't shut up. But yes, I can. Yeah.
But in addition to that, so my daughter's 14. As the business has built and developed and grown, I want to build a business I'm proud of, and part of that is doing the right thing as opposed to always the thing that earns us the most money. So I think as business owners, we've got a social obligation to the community, and the more we look at that, the more we see more business owners getting involved in the community and doing good stuff.
They do. I've in my many years of 2 decades or more of doing this for a living, I've met many sort of people who own businesses and what they do, and you kind of think, how are you finding time for this? It's incredible. Anyway, we'll touch on
need
that.
to talk about Chris has started a project with his daughter called the Kindness Project, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think Chris needs to tell us more about that.
Okay, we're going to touch upon all the various things we want to kind of get to in a few moments' time. We'll do that in a moment. Yes.
She's 50, isn't she? Yeah.
No, this is she. She looks
looks
amazing
good.
for 50 years old. Mind you, saying that, and I'm not going to say who this person is, but there was somebody who came in here about a week ago, and I thought this particular person was possibly 50.
Okay.
Right? Turns out they're sort of over 65.
Gotcha.
They're about
Gotcha.
65, and you go, no way.
You know what? I think
Really?
I think people are aging better, right? You know, like I when I look back at my dad at 40, he didn't look anywhere. No, my dad's a good-looking man, by the way. If you're listening, Dad, I'm really sorry about this, but I just remember him looking older, and people just looking older back then. I don't know.
They did. Well, you are quite right, I think, because if I look back at how my granddad and my nan and that used to dress, and what they look like compared to what my mum and dad at the same age are now, they're totally different.
Gotcha.
They don't look. Do you know what I mean? They're not quite as old in that.
Maybe they don't feel as old as well. Maybe people have got a different attitude
certainly.
to ageing.
That's why I still think I'm 21. Anyway, right. Let's talk. Let's talk about your daughter, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Which sounds a bit odd, but let's talk about what your daughter is up to. What's she doing? How old is she?
She's 14. I've got two girls, 14 and 6. But my eldest one, as you know, Mark, because you've got kids who are slightly older. You've
16 and 18.
Okay, so you've got teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So part of, as I said, I run a business, I've got financial planning business, but part of what I want to do is do some good in the community. But trying to get those sort of levels of communication going with the teenagers is quite difficult. So one thing, the project that Charlotte and I are doing is a podcast. We run a podcast. It's out every week. It's about half hour, 40 minutes long. You've listened, Chris, right?
I have, yeah. It's really good.
We're on episode 6. And we've got sort of 15 already recorded, all about how people can be just better people, happier, kinder people. It's called the Kindness Project, and we just talk to people who are really good at being kind.
That's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Now there's a lot of nonsensical waffle in there as well, Mark. I mean, we talk about loads of random
Bit like this show.
loads of random funny stuff.
Yeah.
But at the heart of it is the understanding that all of us are pretty good in nature, and if we turn on the news, we'd expect to see a reflection of that, but actually we don't.
Yeah, because rather unfortunately, the things that make the news are the things that people, they kind of want to know, but at the same time, it does make the world kind of seem like a very dark and horrible place. And really, it's not.
It's not at all. It's not. I think all the trends show that we've never been safer, we've never been more peaceful, we've never been wealthier, we've never been healthier. Actually, we live in a pretty good place. And the podcast, as well as talking about the good things that people are doing, is just designed to celebrate that.
Yeah.
And along the way, we talk about random stuff like eggs, sort of the favourite book character and best travel places and loads of random stuff you get the opportunity to do when you sit down with your daughter.
Sounds. I have some strange conversations with my daughter sometimes. Yeah. But I mean, yes, you are completely right about the kindness thing. I think that is spot on. Yeah. Because rather unfortunately, we do look at the world and sort of think to ourselves, oh God, it's really pretty horrible out there, But weirdly, we kind of get worse as we get older.
Yeah, gotcha.
But when you're younger, you don't see that so much. I remember having a conversation with some of the younger generation kids, my ex's kids, weirdly enough, and talking with them. And, we were sort of trying to go, you need to think about it, be a bit careful when you're out late at night and you're on your own, you're a young girl. And then she's like, no, it's fine.
Oblivious.
It'll be fine, it'll be right. And it, almost as if there's this
Look, I think there's a line, isn't there? Yeah. There's a line where you say, look, you want your kids to be safe and sensible and make the right choices, but I don't want my kids to be out there thinking that the world's a really nasty place when I know it's not. And maybe I look at the world through rose-tinted spectacles, and actually I'm fine with that. Yeah. I can live with that. Because I'd rather get up optimistic every day than pessimistic.
And I think kindness is where everything starts, isn't it? So it either is the start of a relationship and unkindness is the end. So if you think about talking about kindness, it's like kind of universal, isn't it?
You know what? Interestingly, I know we're in the business section. I actually think, as you said, Mark, business people are, they start businesses to help and serve other people. There's a commercial perspective for it, but there's also, you're never successful in business unless somebody wants to buy your products because it helps their life. So therefore, there's always that element of social responsibility when it comes to business as well.
I think when businesses, if someone owns a business and the business is doing nicely and doing well, they're more optimistic.
Agreed. Absolutely.
When the business is not doing well, they're more pessimistic.
Yeah.
Certainly the first 2 or 3 years I wouldn't have started this project because I was just too busy working to build the business to a level where I can do other stuff. But now we're sort of 8 to 10 years in and thriving. It's a different matter.
So as far as your little podcast that that you're doing with your daughter, if I wanted to hear that, what would I do?
You can have a look on the website. It's www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. We're on Twitter at Holla, HOLA Kindness.
Right.
And just Google The Kindness Project. I'm sure you'll find it. But yeah, thekindnessproject.co.uk is our home on the web.
Yeah.
I do think Charlotte does that much better than you, Chris. We needed her here today. I love it when she does it.
And on that note, we're going to move on because I've got to talk to, but I do have my guests, of course, Chris and Chris.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Hello, Mark.
Very good. Now then, I just wanted to get Chris. This is you, Chris, not you, Chris.
Okay.
The man, Chris. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier on about children.
Yeah.
Okay, and money, and obviously trying to teach them, a little bit about,
understand a bit more about finances.
It all. Now, there was something interesting I was reading the other day, and I'm actually quite for it. Okay, and this is the idea that because we're beginning to live in an economy where cash is becoming less of the sort of most important way of sort of doing your shopping and your buying, that there are little credit cards, as it were, or type things aimed at kids that the parents can control via an app.
So
like that.
So our kids have got one,
right?
So we use one, and there's others.
The reason I kind of wanted to touch on this is that with a lot of the banks, they say they have to be sort of 11 and up for most of them. Some of these are aimed at like 5 years and up.
Yeah. So Charlotte had her one. Sophie hasn't got one yet. But Charlotte had her one at 9. Because we felt that was an appropriate time for her to do it, and she can't spend any money that's not on there. So we pre-fund it.
It's not like a credit card in that respect.
Yeah, so we pre-fund it, but it teaches kids the responsibility of managing their own money really early because they can log in, they can have a look at what's on there. We give her pocket money, and she's responsible then for spending it and understanding it. And if it runs out, it runs out. If it runs out, she's done.
Is there a fee to those cards or not?
Yeah, there is.
There must be. Surely.
It tends to be pretty low. So I think
is the idea in hook them in early, and then when they get older and over the age of 18.
Yeah,
and stuff like that,
I think the commercial model of these cards is it's only designed for kids, but they're hoping to get enough kids at low fees to make sure that it's paid for. Charlotte now is 14 and got her own bank account, so that's now not an issue. So she's stopped choosing that facility. But I certainly learn practically. I know a lot of people learn practically. So giving kids the tools to learn in a way that isn't just reading it in a book, I think is a really good way of doing things.
Yeah, I just wonder.
Yeah.
Are parents? Is it just too easy to put money onto a card for them that they can use, other than giving them cash? Because surely hard cash is also still very useful for them to kind of, because it's something that is physical. You can hold and you can count it and you can see it.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's just numbers on a screen otherwise.
Well, you know what's interesting? I think hard cash, if you wanted to budget 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'd take £100 out your account, and then if that £100 ran out, you've run out of money, and it was really easy to track. The reality is that our kids are not going to live in that economy anymore. So in my head,
trading in bitcoins.
Exactly. It'll be something completely different. So in my head, we need to prepare them for the future and not what we think is the way we've done it in the past. That's the challenge we've got. So managing pocket money in cash, I actually think is a step back for the kids because they're not going to manage their money in that way moving forward. No.
So as far as you're concerned, being a financial sort of guy, that you actually think this is really good for kids to have these little cards?
Yeah.
Is it not easy that they can use them online? I mean, can they use them online?
I'll tell you what I really like, Mark. So they can use them online, they can use them in shops because they're contactless payment cards, but it's all trackable. Okay, so we can log in, see where they're spending money, and actually that doesn't happen with cash, right? Yeah. So if you give your kids a tenner, they spend it on whatever they want, and that's up to them. Whereas with a child's payment card that you pre-fund, if they've, and Cassie's done this to Charlotte in the past, if she's spent it somewhere and Cassie has thought that perhaps that wasn't the most appropriate place in the world, words are had. Yeah. But that conversation couldn't happen with cash.
Well, you see, in my day, it was, I got me pocket money, and it'd be a quarter of cola cubes, a comic, and maybe a Lego toy or something. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
However, you see, now the reason I kind of touched upon that was that, I mean, obviously you're saying you can track it, but when you go on, I'm not going to mention them, but obviously there are some websites that to verify an age, you have to put a credit card.
Gotcha.
So would they be using them in those ways?
You know what,
or can they? Are they? Does it look at that long number and go, oh, hang on a minute, no, she's not verified for an 18-year-old?
Genuinely, I don't know the answer, but I hope that there's some sort of way to track that you can't access those sort of sites. And certainly, when Charlotte had her child's account, Cassie tracked it so tightly that if there was any flag of that, it'd be sort of conversations the next day. So for us, it wasn't an issue, but certainly something worth considering.
Yeah, it just kind of made me wonder, because, I mean, like a lot of websites, and I'm not talking about pornographic websites. It could be anything, really. It could be gambling, whatever. That, they say, credit card for verification of that you're over 18 type thing. But
it's not a credit card.
Because when they ask for your age, for me, I'm scrolling further and further down anyway these days.
I can't even find mine.
So the reality is you can only spend the pre-funded money on the account.
Yeah.
It's never there's not a
It's
credit.
not going to be that amount of money that they could do.
Yeah, I mean, we used to put I don't know, like 15 quid a month. It wasn't big money, but
it teaches them.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. It does. That's the idea.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, well, thank you for that. Yes, we have, of course, been chatting to Chris from Savello.
Hi.
And obviously, it's been kind of interesting because talking about the fact that you are a financial advisor, that's what your business does, but also thinking about it from the kids' point of view, and getting them kind of involved, and also thinking about how they should be respecting money.
Yeah. But it's not only about the money, right, Mark? It's about how we live our lives and make the world a better place. And that's my focus.
And I think there's a bit about how you respect your children. So you trust them, and you give them a prepaid card, and you trust that they go and spend it on the right things. But you can also track it. Yeah. So there is a bit around teaching your children about trust through that, isn't there?
Yeah. In that case, I got really bad trust because my daughters have got iPhones. I've got an iPhone, and I can track exactly where they are, time of the day or night, and they're quite happy with it. And the oldest one's 18, and she don't.
Yeah, she don't care.
She's at Canterbury in university, and I can track exactly where she is. Every now and again, they want to track me. No, you don't know what I'm up to. Forget that. Anyway, well, thank you for that, Chris. Much appreciated.
Really enjoyed it, Mark. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Now then, Chris. This has been confusing. From the Havering Chamber of Commerce. No, Barry, obviously. Barry's in America, isn't he?
He's in America on holiday. He's having a nice rest. And I just wanted to say that our next meeting is the 9th of March. Yes.
Quick double check, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's at the town. Where is it, Chris?
It's at the Havering Museum.
Yeah, it's at the Havering Museum, definitely. Yeah. So I'm just giving you a quick reminder if anyone wants to come along, they've not been before, but we will remind you again next week and the week after. Unsure.
Okay.
So I'm not sure.
Right. Okay, all good. And obviously people like Chris and that is there. And
well, Chris is an executive member of the Chamber as well.
Right.
So he's, big boy.
Involved. Yeah, big supporter. Big fan. Yeah.
Marvellous. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us, Mark.
We'll catch up with you soon, and good luck with you and your daughters.
Yeah, so just a little shout out, www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. Anybody who wants to listen, be interested in your feedback and thoughts. So, what did you think of the interview then?
It's good.
Awesome.
And that's the end
of
podcast.
Oh no! Were you actually involved in the recording of the podcast, or were you too busy watching Strong Girl Bong Song?
I was involved in the recording of the podcast. I just started watching that today.
Strong Girl Bong Song. What's Strong Girl Bong Song about?
It's about this girl, and there's this thing in her family, and like
It's a Korean thing, isn't it?
yeah, it's a Korean thing.
Okay.
But she has this thing in her family that they had all the women of the family have this like super strength.
Oh.
But if they abuse the power, they lose it.
Oh, interesting.
So like her mum, she tried to use the power to become a Korean athlete.
And because she misused it.
Because she misused it, she lost it. But
sounds
her
interesting.
daughter, Bolsoon, she became a bodyguard.
Okay.
Because this
Is
man
that
was
why
being...
is that not misusing the power? What's the line
because
between?
the guys that she was beating up was like thugs.
Oh right, okay,
because,
right. Oh, that's all right then. Just beat
yeah.
up horrible people.
Beat up the horrible people.
Okay, fair enough. So, what's it time for now?
Last week's question of the podcast this week.
Normally it is, but we need a new jingle, Charlotte, because we've started to get iTunes reviews. So
iTunes reviews.
sounds a lot like Kindness News, to be honest.
No, kindness news is kindness news.
And how does iTunes reviews go?
iTunes reviews.
Oh, okay.
It's got a dip.
So iTunes reviews and Kindness News jingles sound not similar at all. But here's our latest reviews. Kelly Marie 31 said, I subscribed to this podcast about 3 weeks ago. Once I listened to the first one, I was hooked. A great listen. So that's quite nice for Kelly Marie to say. Thanks, Kelly Marie.
Thank you.
Doggone Virus said, Chris and Charlotte have done it. Done what? I haven't done anything. Week after week, I end up in stitches. I haven't touched him. I don't know why he's getting stitches, but it's not my responsibility.
It's my job.
Yeah, they split people apart. I've been listening to the Kindness Project from the start, and so I knew Chris and Charlotte have a real passion for the subject. It's been a real pleasure to listen. I can't wait till my next instalment of the Kindness it's actually said project. Kindness Project podcast. If you have an appreciation of kindness, culture and laughs, you should definitely be listening to this podcast. So we put him in stitches and he's still listening. I think that's called masochism. I don't know. And the next one said, what a lovely... This is from Russ Hayworth, who, by the way, has got... If you've run a family business, he's got a little awesome podcast that you might want to listen to. We run a family business, don't we, Charlotte? So we like Russ's podcast too. So fans of the show, Russ, we're liking your work. And he said, what a lovely podcast. Chris and Charlotte spread happiness, joy and kindness through their weekly chats. A really enjoyable listen. So that was really nice. That was a really nice way to end the show, right?
What about the last week's question of the week this week?
I'm going to get on to that, but we've got now more than one review from... our original review was from Getting On A Bit 57, and now we've got like a cornucopia of... Like we haven't got loads, we've got 4, but that was 3 more than the last time we checked.
We've got a cornucopia.
We've got a cornucopia of... No, we haven't. We've got 4. But that was a few more, and that hopefully they'll continue to come in. But we cannot get reviews without your help. So if you are enjoying the show, feel free to leave us a little message on iTunes or
wherever you download it,
or your hub of choice. I mean, we did have another one from Stu Morrison, who commented on the website about how much he was enjoying it and said, I subscribed within the first 2 minutes. He might unsubscribe when he gets to the end, but he subscribes in the first 2 minutes.
We're a bit frantic towards the end of the podcast.
But yeah, so people are enjoying
a bit high on caffeine by that point.
People are enjoying it, and that's the good news. Shall we? Yeah. So if you'd like to leave us a review on iTunes, a review on the website, any of those platforms of choice, say something nice about us on Twitter. You can do all of those things, or give us some feedback that we can learn from to make the podcast better.
Especially if we laugh too much. No, that's not something we're going to be able to control.
Well, if we laugh too much, I ain't changing it. All right. So thanks for your feedback, but unappreciated. Sorry, mate. Yeah, we're over that. However, let's get back to the main body of the podcast, where we, at the end, normally talk about
last week's question of the week, not this week, last week.
And can you remember what last week's question of the week, this week was?
Was it about gangs, or was that...
It was about gangs. Because you've got your own little gang, haven't you?
Yeah, we're called the Baggy Trousers.
Okay. And then so we had a few comments on this. Russ, our very own editor Russ, who is a man so silent, not even the people in his own house know his name, said, what sort of gang? And I said, you choose. It's up to you. And he went, probably the crazy gang, because we're so crazy. Russ, you crazy mate. Robbie White, who's your nan and my mother-in-law, said, the Arbor of... should I do the accent?
No.
The Arbor of Smokies. Or the Red Lychees. I don't know. She's not from Sweden, listeners, so I don't know why that sounded Swedish. Nick Lincoln just said, bang, gang bang. Just rude, Nick, just a bit over the top. And then Charlotte, you commented on your own podcast saying, yeah, could you just say baggy trousers? We have. You're a co-host on the podcast. I don't know. And our old mate Cookie, John Cook, said my gang would be covered in glitter sparkles, and we call ourselves the Glitter Gang.
Oh, I think I commented on that
The Sparkle Gang. Now, that's a 40-year-old man right there who wants his gang to be called the Sparkle Gang.
I actually commented on that one. I think it was a comment about the Glitter Force, because that there's a show on Netflix about this group of girls, and they're called the Glitter Force, and all their...
Is that the one about the wrestling?
No.
Oh, right, okay, there's something else, is it?
No, and they all kind of just use really sparkly and happy, and they're all happy all the time. Yeah, they're called the Glitter Force, and there's like loads of different...
And our story of kindness this week is we're coming back to our old mate Nick Lincoln, who's got his own podcast. It's a financial related podcast. Give it a listen, listeners. He's full of really useful tips, and it's quite funny as well.
Not as funny as that one.
Not as funny.
Don't leave. Just don't leave.
I've listened to both, and Charlotte's right, but mainly because of Charlotte. Because you're not on Nick Lincoln's podcast, are you?
No.
You aren't on Sunday. Are you moonlighting on another podcast and not telling me? Okay, cool. Because Nick, as well as making relatively lewd jokes about gangs, he is also a really lovely, decent bloke. And he put that he'd just driven his neighbour to an emergency dental operation. Her Alzheimer's suffering, the husband's not up to it, and that's my good deed for today. Now, we did put a line through today and said life, but I know that Nick is actually a genuinely kind and decent bloke. So that's our story of people doing just awesome stuff in the world.
Yep.
So, any other news that you want to share before we go?
No.
Okay, cool. Well, have a good week, and we'll see you on the release of the next podcast next Thursday.
Bye.